My love of the TV series Smallville is well documented, and there's one rewatch podcast that's always at the top of my queue. Zach Moore's Always Hold On to Smallville, which continues with more great Smallville and Superman talk now that their series rewatch has concluded. Listen wherever you get podcasts. Ever wonder what would happen if a person who knew barely anything about comics decided to absorb hundreds of Superman stories? Robbo is that kind of person, and that's exactly what he's doing on a new show called This Podcast Will Never Die. Listen and subscribe today. In the 1950s, George Reeves embodied the Man of Steel in Superman's first television adaptation, from its gritty black and white beginnings to the kid-friendly color years. To this day, an entire generation reveres George as their Superman, while for others, the show remains an overlooked, underrated chapter in the character's history. On this podcast, we bring everyone together as we break down each episode of Adventures of Superman, examining it within the context of the series itself, as well as the larger Superman mythology. Welcome to another exciting episode in the Adventures of Superman. I'm your host, Anthony Desiato. Join me to discuss Season 5, Episode 4, The Tomb of Zaharan. His returning guest, Rich Roney. Welcome back.
Hello. And hey, it's been a couple of weeks. I'm looking forward to analyzing this.
We were debating off mic, not really debating, but questioning the correct pronunciation of the title of this episode, because it's pronounced a couple of different ways over the course of the episode. So Zaharan, well, we might mix it up ourselves as we go along here, but that's the episode we're here to talk about, in which members of the Cult of Zaharan mistake Lois for their resurrected queen. This aired March 28th, 1957, written by David Chandler, directed by George Blair, Ted Hecht as Abdu Ben Bey, Jack Rietzen as Ali Zing, Jack Crucian as Omar, Gabriel Moradian as Dean, and George Corey as Captain Ali. I probably butchered a bunch of their names, but that's our guest cast here. So overall thoughts on this one? We learned that Lois Lane is 26 years old.
I
in
know.
This episode.
I made a comment on that. I wrote that down. I do want to, because I've treasured these discussions and dissecting and assessing it. But this was a pretty disjointed episode. I mean, what the hell was the purpose of Clark typing with his eyes closed at the very, very, very start? It was like, hey, we need another minute and a half. The start of the show was just filler, and it had no relevance in any fashion to anything that occurred in this episode. For the benefit of the audience, it starts out with Clark in his office with his eyes closed, just typing at the typewriter. And Lois and Jimmy come in and, oh, what are you doing? And careful, genius at work or something like that. But it had no relevance or no contextual input to the rest of the episode.
Yes, I agree. Total filler. Now, in when we're looking at kind of categories of filler, would you have preferred another pot of glue spilling on Perry's desk? Because I would have. I would take that all day.
I mean, once again, we're seeing another side to Perry. I mean, I'll let you go through some of the elements, the factual things, but I'll leap in on that when you bring it up.
So obviously that filler opening really stood out to you. But overall, as far as this whole ancient cult, Lois being mistaken for a resurrected queen, how did that play for you?
Not well.
Yeah.
Not well. I mean, in some respects, I loved the ending. Far and away, the ending of this one did it for me. And we'll get to that. And you know why. I just saw the smile on your face. The other thing that, and I'm sorry to do this, it's so disjointed. This was one hell of a plug for TWA Airlines.
Oh, yeah.
We saw like 3 different planes with the TWA insignia. But anyway, I'll let you kind of parse it out and talk about the different elements.
Yeah, I don't have a ton to say about this one. I guess this might end up being a shorter one. We'll see. But I guess the whole business about this ancient cult, Lois being mistaken and
the reincarnated queen.
All of that doesn't really do a lot for me. But if being positive, looking at highlights here, there's a moment, I know we'll talk more about it, but when Clark stands up to Perry and insists that he's going to go after Lois and Jimmy because they mean more to him than any anniversary edition of the paper, and he storms out.
That was impressive.
Where's this guy been?
Yeah.
There's like season 1 Clark. Oh, I mean, like I loved seeing that. There's also, credit where credit's due, the quote unquote battle between Superman and one of the thieves at the airport. The guy tries a gun, a knife, and then his own head against Superman. And it genuinely made me laugh. I had to rewind it and watch it twice. Like, it was so, like, that's one of those things where, was it a great fight scene? No, of course not. Would I have preferred the fisticuffs of season 1? 1,000%. But if we're in the color era and we're in a season where George Reeves is more limited in terms of the action that he could do, the idea of this guy, after a gun and knife failed, just running headfirst into Superman, like, genuinely made me laugh. So, there were a couple of highlights. The other thing too is we do get to the point in the episode where Lois and Jimmy, but specifically Lois, is dressed up in this like Cleopatra type garb. Now, when we talked about Through the Time Barrier, I asked you if Noel Neal in the cave woman outfit made any impression on you. And I know it didn't really seem to. I feel like, in the sense that I've gotten, not to speak for the larger fandom, but I think kind of her in that cave woman outfit and Through the Time Barrier, her in this here, I think this did make an impression on viewers, young viewers at the time when this was first coming out, especially in an era before all of the things that people can see anytime now. I think this was something that probably was particularly intriguing for like the young boys watching this.
That's okay. Because it had such almost an Egyptian or Arabic backdrop, it didn't surprise me. And I didn't find it like, wow, what a babe, right? I did not have that. I will say this plays to something that I've honed in on a lot. So fundamentally intrinsic to this episode is Perry giving a necklace to Lois. And I know her affinity for clothing and hats, and even with the horse Joey, come on, let's go out and buy some clothes. Yeah. So Lois getting this sacred necklace, this sacred scarab necklace, she's the person you want.
Yeah. All right. We'll get into our play-by-play here. As you were mentioning, Lois and Jimmy collect Clark, who's practicing typing with his eyes closed for a meeting with the chief. Perry produces an ancient text and chastises them for not knowing about the ancient Eastern culture known as the Cult of Zaharan. I'm like, will you give these people a break? I mean, come on. How do you not know about this? The education system is failed. It's like, would you give it a rest? I mean, come on.
See, but in the same breath, once again, this shows what a Renaissance polymath Perry is.
Yes.
And this is going to come up at the end in the last few seconds.
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, Perry is a curmudgeon.
I just feel like there's got to be a line somewhere. It's like, how do you not know about this ancient cult? I mean, it's like, what do you want it from these people? But all right. I mean, especially Lois. She's only 26 years old.
Yeah, how old was she in real life?
36.
Oh, okay.
So they shaved 10 years off because we get an explicit accounting of how old she is in this episode.
I'm wondering why did they land on that, right? Or is this something the tenor of the times? Like, you and I have discussed other episodes or other stories we've read from the Silver Age where in Candor, when the Lucy Lane clone was allowed to be a stewardess even though she was married, right? Was this the tenor of the times? And, if you're over 30, you're too old.
I don't know, but they could have made her 29. I mean, 26 anyway.
And she had a lot of hard years on that 26.
And I mean, look, like Noel Neal, lovely, but it's like, again, I wouldn't say she looked 26, but
now,
anyway.
To your point from earlier, now that you brought up the question, I very much would have liked to have seen Phyllis Coates in that Egyptian outfit.
Okay.
I would have liked to have seen that.
All right. 2 men believed to belong to this group are en route to Metropolis as part of a world tour. Perry gives Lois a scarab from this culture that he borrowed from a museum to wear to the airport with the hope that this will land her an interview by getting their attention. Meanwhile, 2 thieves scheme to steal the jewels that Benbei and Zing are wearing by creating a distraction to lure the guards away. They do just that at the airport by grabbing Lois's borrowed necklace. Superman smashes through the wall and faces off against one of the thieves who, as I was discussing earlier, unsuccessfully tries shooting a gun, throwing a knife, and finally ramming his own head against Superman. Like I said, I found this hilarious. The Zaharan guards nab the other thief, and Superman gets the visitors to agree to an interview with Lois and Jimmy. I like that. I like that in his guise as Superman, he helped them out.
Yes. And also, because in other episodes, everyone thinks Clark has the inside track in Superman stories. So this kind of balances the ledger, so to speak.
Yeah, I did like that. When they notice Lois's necklace, however, they offer her more than an interview, an invitation to their country to view a secret excavation. Back at the planet, Clark senses trouble over this trip, and Lois promises to send a dispatch upon her arrival. Perry gets annoyed with a departing Olsen, who forgets his camera equipment. I did like this little bit where Jimmy's like, have a good trip. Perry's like, I'm not going away, you are. I'm getting a lot of mileage out of Jack Larson on this show. I mean, he's really the saving grace in a lot of these episodes.
And you're getting a lot of mileage about John Hamilton.
He's probably, you know what? Maybe I'll save this for the series finale, but no, I feel like low key, he's my favorite character of the show. Really? I honestly think he is. I definitely have the most fun. And I love doing my version of an impression.
Oh, listen, your impression has improved. I mean,
I know I should go back to some season 1 episodes and see where it started.
Yeah. Your impression of him as a curmudgeon.
If I ever need to try to find a baseline for it, I always go back to the tub of glue and I've tried to lead a good life. That's kind of the key.
I've taken care of my mother. Yeah. I've given money to charity.
Yeah. Fat Moose Comics, established in 1982, is New Jersey's best and oldest comic book store. Moose has that rare old-school comic shop feel and camaraderie, yet also remains a welcoming space for new fans. Visit them in Whippany or reach out via the Fat Moose Comics Facebook page. If you have children and are looking for a family-friendly store, look no further than Aw Yeah Comics. Visit one of their 3 locations, Harrison, New York, Muncie, Indiana, or Skokie, Illinois, and check out awyeahcomics.com for more. Their name says exactly how they feel about it. Aw yeah. Whether you're an independent filmmaker or you just love movies, don't miss these New Jersey film festivals. Brightside Tavern in Jersey City, Hang On to Your Shorts in Asbury Park, and Round Reel in Bloomfield. Submission information for filmmakers can be found at filmfreeway.com. Single Bound is a new podcast hosted by married couple Amy and Logan as they review single issues of comics. And if the title makes you think of Superman, you're not alone, as the Man of Steel is a regular topic of discussion. Listen and subscribe to Single Bound on Spotify and YouTube. Okay, so we have that exchange. But after Lois and Jimmy leave, Perry does express genuine concern to Clark. I like that little moment, because Perry has some line about like, oh, maybe they'll get eaten by crocodiles or something. But then he says, but you don't think they'll really be trouble, do you, Kent? Right? I like that he actually has some genuine concern there for a moment.
That one brief fraction of a second reminded me of No Holds Barred.
Yeah.
Where, hey, come on, Kent. Is anything going on between you and Lois?
Yeah.
It showed just a non-curmudgeon side of Perry. I liked it.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I mean, now this concern only goes so far because Clark asks to use vacation time, claiming he hasn't been feeling well, but Perry denies this and orders Clark to help with the paper's anniversary edition. Lois and Jimmy arrive in Beldad, and in the car, Ben Bay and Zing reveal that they believe Lois to be their ancient queen, who bore that same scarab and was prophesied to awake in 5,000 years. And this is where we get this business about Lois being 26 years old.
Yes, in the car.
Yeah.
But here's what, prior to that, if I may, Perry obtained the scarab necklace from a museum.
Mm-hmm.
And was able to borrow it and use it so they could tee things up for this interview.
Yeah.
What I wonder is, why didn't Lois return it when they got back to the Daily Planet building?
Oh, do you know why? The episode would have been over.
Well, you could, and I know we're using 2025 intellect, but you could have made an argument, hey, they made the commitment for her to go to the country. I don't know if the necklace was that intrinsic to the rest of the story. And they never said it had any magical powers or anything. They were convinced she was the reincarnation of their queen. Yeah,
that's true. I mean, to these guys, it's like the fact that she was wearing that. I mean, is it the case that she always has to be wearing it? Yeah, I don't know. I'm more concerned, what kind of deal did Perry make with this museum?
And
because it's not returned at the end of the episode.
Yes. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. Perry's, I mean, that goes completely unacknowledged, but I feel like Perry is not going to be happy about this.
There's no mention whatsoever. Now I could see they didn't do anything. Like there was no overture that the necklace had magical powers. I was puzzled. Why didn't she return the necklace when she got back to the planet? But she continued to wear it when they went over to the foreign country.
Well, I'm trying to remember, because when they have that exchange at the airport, when the guys notice the necklace, do they tell her to keep? Maybe they don't explicitly tell her to, but they make such a big deal about the necklace. Maybe she assumes that she's supposed to. I don't know.
That makes sense. That's a good point.
But so these guys take Lois and Jimmy to the tomb, dress them in ancient garb, and burn incense to awake Lois's memory of her past life. While all of this is going on, Clark notices that the dispatch allegedly sent from Lois doesn't sound right. I like this because it ends with "end dispatch." And Clark and Perry realize, as a newspaper person, it should end with -30-, which I've talked about this a ton on my other podcast. Jeff Loeb, when he was writing the Superman title in the early 2000s, he would use that in issues, and he would have Lois in her narration explain how that's the way you would signal to the printer, like this is the end of the story.
I never knew that.
Yeah. So I like that. That was a very, minor but specific bit that they included here. I like that a lot.
That I learned something new, and boy, that is ties into the journalism industry.
Clark demonstrates some season 1 fire here by forcefully telling Perry that Lois and Jimmy mean more to him than any anniversary edition as he storms out of the room. The running was a little awkward. Yeah.
I think he took on a little too much physical stuff with his ribs being, but his feisty, decisive personality was impressive. It reminded me again, like of some of the season 1 stuff, like when Lois and Perry are going, I wonder where Clark is. Well, he's probably over there pulling it out of him, the bad guy. So Clark does.
Wait, what?
There was some story or some facts with the wrestling
guy.
Yes.
Yeah. Like getting the information from him. Yeah.
Clark was a tough guy.
Yeah, absolutely. No, like that's the thing. I mean, like the instances like that are so few and far between at this point. So it was really
refreshing.
It was cool to see that. They're running awkward, maybe because of his injury. Also, I mean, he is in a suit, and he did, if memory serves, I think it's just the one door to the office. So he was relatively narrow. So like his arms couldn't be too wide.
Oh, that's a good point.
So, because I think that's what people can't see what I'm doing, but I have my arms close to my body. And I think that's what made it look especially awkward here. Clark questions the thieves who had been apprehended at the airport, then flies to Beldad, where he has the head of police consult with the museum there about the tomb's location. He explains to the head of police that he's arranged his own transportation to the tomb and changes to Superman. I like that little bit where, the head of police, like, all right, he's going to go investigate, and basically offers Clark a ride. He's like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay. So he changes to Superman and saves Lois and Jimmy from the smoke. Later, Ben Bay and Zing discover the empty tomb and scarab on the ground, and they believe the prophecy has been fulfilled.
They attribute it to the reincarnated, the powers of the reincarnated queen.
All right. 2 questions here. Number 1, I mean, we're probably reading more into this than was intended, but do they think that the spirit of the queen is reborn in Lois, a la reincarnation, or that Lois is the actual queen who slept and now awoke and just doesn't remember? I mean, it doesn't really make a difference in the end, but do we have any sense?
I truly don't. I could see it go either way.
Fair. The other question is, I mean, this is a rare instance where it's like the bad guy, they're not nabbed.
And they effectively killed Lois and Jimmy, right? They put him in there to suffocate and die, right? But there's no moral judgment. They're just like, our queen has returned, right? And what did that mean? I mean, is there going to be prosperity in this country? I'm stammering. I was more puzzled by that. I remembered them out. Only our queen could have pushed down this stone wall or knocked this door down. But they put them in there to die.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, or are we meant to think that the police will come later and get them? Like the Beldad police? I'm not sure.
Well, if I may, how would the Belgrade police even know to hone in on those guys? I mean, they were able to fly over to America with impunity.
Yeah.
It was almost like they were official representatives of Belgrade.
Anything that, before we do get to the final scene, anything that you want to say about the kind of depiction of another culture that we see here?
It wouldn't hold up today. I think, and we've seen this in other times, like the Indian episode, when they're out in the American West, the Test of a Warrior, some of the stuff with the tropes about, the one Italian guy running the diner. In retrospect, I didn't like the portrayal of the two Egyptian guys with the fezzes and the hats. I thought that was, but who knows, for circa 1955, maybe it was recognized. But yeah. I don't think it would hold up today.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I think, when we see these depictions on the show, and certainly it's not limited to the show, I think there's generally a lack of nuance there, right? You're often getting more of the broad strokes, the stereotype. So anyway. Okay, lastly, back at the planet, Lois and Jimmy have fun in their ancient garb. Clark asks Perry if he can read the Arabic newspaper, and Perry, annoyed, recites some gibberish before breaking into a smile.
Here's what, again, we're getting back to Perry, the polymath, the brilliant. When they give Jimmy brings back the paper, and Clark goes, "Here, Chief, you speak Arabic, right?" So this to me was the best moment of the whole episode. I loved John Hamilton. I loved this line. It made me laugh. I watched it like 3 times. So what, ibbity dibbity abda, blah, blah, blue. This means you get out too. Hamilton, and that crazy laugh and smile he had at the end. The last 30 seconds just fractured me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was a fun bit. And a rare humorous side from Perry. Now, do you, again, not to read too much into this, do you think Perry actually does know how to speak Arabic? I mean, I know Clark says you know how to speak, but do you think he actually does? And then he was just doing this gibberish to be funny and to get them out of there? Or do you think, no, he doesn't actually know? Let's say he knows, because then that's another thing we can add to our tally of his hidden talents.
Okay, Perry the polymath. I mean, I wouldn't put it beyond him. Wasn't there another episode we saw last season, A Peril by Sea, where he could read ancient scrolls, from they were over 2,000 years old, and he knew how to extract gold or uranium from seawater, or, there's no limit to this guy. If he were a young man, Superman would have a run for his money.
Rich and I will never get past the extracting uranium from seawater. Yeah. All right. So on a scale of 1 to 5, Great Caesar's Ghosts, how many were you giving this one?
0.5.
Oh man, that's 2.5s from Rich in a row. Not 2.5, but 0.5. Oh man. All right. I'll go a little higher this time. We've been consistent in our past couple. I'll go 1, I guess, on this.
I mean, and for me, it was Perry. John Hamilton. I loved the last 30 or 45 seconds.
Yeah.
Ibbity dibbity abda migaloo. This means you get out too. I mean, he just.
Yeah. I'll go 1 because I really, that moment where Clark stands up to Perry was huge. And the moment of Clark battling the guy, that really genuinely made me laugh. So for that alone, I'll give it a 1. All right. Now, you are going to be back later this season for The Phony Alibi. Next time, we're going to have a first-time guest, Rick Lee James. He's going to join me for The Man Who Made Dreams Come True. So I hope everyone will come back for that, and I look forward to your return a little later this season, Rich. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. Keep tuning in, and always remember, only Superman can do super things. This podcast is an affiliate of BCW Supplies. The next time you need to restock on comic book bags, boards, boxes, and more, be sure to use promo code FSP to save 10% on your order. That's FSP for Flat Squirrel Productions. It helps support the show too. Thank you. Another way to support the show and receive exclusive content, including the spin-off podcast Beyond Metropolis, is by becoming a member at patreon.com/Anthony Desiato. My sincere thanks to all patrons. Please subscribe, rate, and review today via your podcast platform of choice, and continue the conversation by joining us on social media Flat Squirrel Podcasts is also home to Digging for Kryptonite, a Superman fan journey, a long-running weekly series mining Superman's vast mythology across time and media. Subscribe today. Another exciting episode is a Flat Squirrel production. Key art by Greg Schiegel and theme music by Dan Pritchard.